Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Marco. I'm a former professional opera singer turned YouTuber, and I love talking about video game music from an emotional perspective after a decade on the stage. Today we're going to be checking out Adel, Baron of Night from Elden Ring Nightreign. I have seen this boss for all of 2 minutes. We almost had it beat, and then that was when I decided to put the game down. Excited to listen to this and the rest of Nightreign bosses here on this channel. So here we go. So this is sick as hell. And I'm going to tell you why right now. This is a deformity, right? This is a monster with a gaping jaw that hangs on its side. It's a totally an abnormal thing that we have not really seen in literature. Well, maybe we have. I'm just making that up. But the point is that like when we start, that intensity in that is because it's terrifying. It is not a normal thing to witness. It is literally a ferocious deformity of a dragon that wants us dead. And so starting off the bat with, it's visceral. It's scary. And what's really cool about it is the space in between. I think it would be way less impactful if it was connected. But instead we get this in the first 9 seconds. Insane. Oh my God, dude, that is so amazing. Oh man, I love that. So first of all, again, let's listen to the fact that we have this lower bass instrument or the lower timpani. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we have thump, 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 thump. And then what's really cool is that we basically are getting a deformed version of the John Williams Jaws theme. Da-dum. This thing is out for blood. This thing wants you dead. This thing is hunting for you. Even though you are in its court, it is actually coming for you because it hates you with every ounce of its being. It almost feels like this thing is looking at you and it hates you and it doesn't want you around. It's you know, I find it really interesting. Also, the idea of it being called the Baron of the Night, which is kind of, I don't know, maybe it would be crazy. I'm just going to spitball here. It'd be crazy if Adel, Baron of Night, was at one point a human, an actual baron of a castle or baron of an area, and then it became this deformity. Imagine the psychological implications of this thing being forced into being a Night Lord and being so deformed and well, I mean, really fucked up, like, right? Like that would be crazy to think about. And I think in this music, we're really leaning into A, the size of Adel, and then B, also the terror of Adel. And I love this last little corner right where I stopped, how good this sounds. Check this out. Slowing down. That's decay. That's really cool. The thing is just, there's a sense of exhaustion in it too, I think, and a sense of like this thing is just messed up. And I appreciate how it's slow, it's heavy, it's sizable. And then also we have this really powerful, just this, I mean, a decay in music is such a fascinating concept. mean, whoa, wait. I'm not sure what instrument that is, but that really sharp, reedy sound, almost like it's either an oud or a oud or a pipa or something, but the sound quality in that is really, really alien almost. And what I like about that is that consistently we have this, it's actually cool because we have this pressing into, it could be bagpipes as well. I think it does a great job of showcasing deformity more than anything. You know what I mean? It does a great job of showcasing just the disgusting nature of this character. Wow. Oh my God. Isn't that amazing? Listen to the doubling, the dum dum shum dum da 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 dum dum, right? Like you feel this like dum 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 da 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 dum dum dum. Again, the size, this huge gaping jaw, just shum shum, you know, like I love the emphasis there on how heavy-handed it is, both in its decrepitness, but also in its danger and that sense of like, you know, fear that it imposes, you know? Here, interestingly, we're much like Gladius. We're also getting a more pronounced syncopated triplet type of bum 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 bum. But what's interesting is how loud that is. That actually reminds me a little bit of Sekiro soundscape, where it's like almost bombastic, expansive sound without any real like necessarily center to it. Like there's no melodic focus in this. And you know what's interesting is that in a way it does end up kind of feeling a bit like noise because it's a very loud, wide, spacious approach to the musical landscape there. So, or the musical storytelling in a way. So it's kind of just violent. Now, personally, I like things to have a little bit more of a through line emotionally, whereas this really is about width. It feels like to me like the thing that comes to my mind is just size. And I don't mean size of Adel like how it looks, but I mean like simply like it's epic and it's big. It doesn't necessarily have a focus, but maybe it doesn't need it. You know what I mean? Like it's very interesting how we can use music to sell us on emotions, sell us on scale, sell us on story, sell us on, move sets. You know what I mean? So I find it really interesting how big this is though. I mean, just as an aside, I think what's really powerful about this piece in particular, regardless of the size of it now, and it does have, again, I really like the dum cha dum da dum dum, but in the bass especially. Now, what I find most interesting to me is the upper register, that pressing sound, whether it's a distorted violin, a pipa, whatever the hell the instrument is. What we're getting there is this real sharp press tonally, which is really, really, I think, very visceral and very, I mean, just generally very cool, isn't it? Because, and again, my job here is not to like explain the ins and outs of the mechanics or the technique or whatever, but my job is to like sort of highlight things that I find interesting so that you can then take that and be like, oh, I never even heard that. Or wow, if I isolate my ear, I actually feel like this is really cool. This is more interesting to me than I realized, whatever. Like that's really the goal here. We're just doing active listening. We're not necessarily trying to figure out chords and tonal structures because honestly, that's not interesting to me. And I find actually looking at and listening to music just so fun. And I just love that distortion up top. It's so visceral. And I love the pressing especially. Okay, phase 3. What? Wow, this is really interesting to me because I don't know that I'm a fan of that. Now, this is, well, but I kind of am. So this is interesting. So this deviates from, I mean, basically I've listened to probably, at least 100 plus Soulsborne tracks at this point, Bloodborne being my favorite. This is the most that it deviates. This distortion is very interesting. This distortion, it's almost like it strips away all the color from the map, right? And all you're left with is essentially like a demon staring at you, right? And so musically, that's interesting. It almost feels like, I'm filming this live in chat. Someone had mentioned the idea of a nuke. I mean, yeah, I suppose if you parse out every other sound and just have this distortion, that makes a lot of sense. One of the really interesting things in this is both this and Gladius that I've already filmed as well. The phase 3s are actually the most unified and the most doubled down on a lot of the sort of meandery bits that we hear in the previous parts of the track. So it's pretty interesting how both this and Gladius both really have a tonal cohesion that occurs in phase 3, where to me, phase 3 is the most centered, grounded, and frankly most interesting. And so far that is staying the same. That is a consistent feeling I'm feeling. See, on the one hand, I really don't like it because it's like, whoa, this is totally different from FromSoft. But on the other hand, listening to the distortion, you know what it kind of feels like? Again, I'm just spitballing. I've not seen this phase. I don't even know if this phase is out yet. I just picture like a hand coming out of the mouth. I don't know why, but it just sounds so really messed up. I mean, it's fucked up, really, is where my brain goes. Like, I just, the worst possible thing you could possibly witness when fighting against something like this, it's just happening. You know, I don't know what that is, whether it's, you know, we've seen comets being dropped. We've seen Radon turn into a fiery comet. You know, we've seen Mikola riding on top and possessing Promise Consort Radon. But like, I mean, what's the worst version of that? And to me, it's Adel just like splitting into, you know, realistically, it'd be even crazier if Adel like suddenly like inverted on itself, and what you get is like a 2-footed, you know, man that was actually cosplaying as a freaking, you know, maybe the Baron's been in there the whole time and he's like, what's up? You know what I mean? Like, holy crap, you know? Yeah. That's so interesting. Now, I don't know, you know, that's a very definitive departure, but it's appropriate for what Nightreign is. Nightreign is a departure from everything we've ever considered or thought of when it comes to FromSoft's music. In a way, it kind of feels fitting to me, and I'm not going to poo-poo on something that is experimental or different because the whole freaking game is different. But having electric guitar in there and really distortedly until that very last bit, I mean, the decay, the you know, that collapse is fascinating. Fascinating. You know, do I like that track? I like phase 1. I like phase 1, and I certainly like it more than Gladius on the whole, but it certainly left an impression while fighting the beast. After this, we're going to be diving into tracks I've never heard before, or I don't even know what the Night Lords look like, so I mean, it's all going to be just like spinning off my brain, but I'm really, you know, I'm impressed and curious about how we're going to continue to elaborate and expand on the FromSoft musical ideas and direction. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Thanks a ton. There's lots more FromSoft on the channel and lots more Nightreign on the channel to come and already. So thanks a ton, and I'll see you later.